For most people, a hobby represents a fun distraction from the everyday, a form of release. But for the winners in our next story, their hobby is about history and precision and dedication, not just a way to let off a little steam. Here's the winner next door's Jon Crane.
Who wants a ride?
Every summer at South Haven County Park, children line up to see the trains. Little trains built by big people, men and women who share a fascination with what for them is the ultimate machine.
It's a hobby. It's a challenge, really. That's what it is. You start something and it just starts to get bigger and bigger.
I got started when I was about 3 years old, I guess. My goal was to shrink a full-size locomotive down to a working size, but have it still work the same.
Jamaica, next stop.
And though they build all kinds of model trains, they're fascinated most by engines powered by steam.
The smell of the steam, the sound, it's like music to us.
I gotta have fuel to get this going.
They call themselves the Long Island Steamers, and for them, summer weekends mean late nights and early mornings, loading and unloading their homemade trains, readying them for the biggest little ride anywhere.
You know, the love for these steamers was lit in these club members at a very, very early age. And then it turned into a lifelong passion. How you doing? A lifelong hobby, a lifelong love. But even more than riding on these trains and working on them and being out here in the Pine Barrens, the members of the club especially love sharing it with young people.
It all started 30 years ago when a group of steamers came to eastern Long Island and carved out a bit of magic, a miniature train yard.
When I look at this, I get the impression of a railroad Disneyland.
Well, that's exactly what it is, except that we don't charge. Whether you've got money or you don't have money, you come here, you get a ride.
You see the fire?
The payoff, however, comes in other ways. The looks on kids' faces, their laughter.
It's a great sound, and I love it.
That's your husband there?
Yes, that's my husband.
And he built that engine there?
He built that from scratch. It took him about 20 years. He spent morning, noon, and night down in that basement. But he said at least I knew where he was.
And if Charles Belize is in his basement, you can bet Ken Owens is in his garage.
It started 30 years ago. It started with the lathe, then the drill press, then the grinder, then the milling machine, and then the other milling machine. Some people like golf. I like machinery. I could watch machinery all day long.
For many steamers, the trains have become a family affair. Spouses go along for the ride, but it's especially for children and grandchildren.
You know why we put water in there? Because we have to, lots of water in order to make steam, huh? And that's why it's a steam engine.
We have a lot of fun out here. He comes out with me anytime we have trains running. He loves to ride the trains. He loves to ride his caboose. He came out here as a little baby and was in a blanket in his caboose and has been riding it ever since.
I love trains.
Here you go.
I built this 20 years ago from scratch, and it's exact copy of a locomotive that was built in 1938 that used to run from New York to Chicago in 16 hours.
It may seem that the steamers are obsessed with machines from the past, but actually, they are just as focused on the future.
On days when there are no young people here, we don't have as much fun. We are historians here. This railroad history of steam and how the country was developed, we want to show people how it happened. We are the keepers of the key, you might say.
Bye. Thanks, Jon.